Today we will discuss nucleic acids, which are essential biological macromolecules responsible for storage, transmission, and expression of genetic information in all living organisms. In this chapter, we will study structure and composition of nucleic acid, types of nucleic acid, we will discuss DNA and RNA, structure of DNA, structure of RNA, genetic code, principle of inheritance, and mutations in nucleic acid. So, what is nucleic acid? Nucleic acids are macromolecules essential for storing and transmitting genetic information. Along with protein, lipids, nucleic acid is one of the macromolecule. Nucleic acids are composed of monomers called nucleotides. So these are the macromolecules. So it means that it is composed of small monomers or small units called nucleotide. So this is the structure of nucleotide. A nucleotide consists of a pentose sugar, which is a 5-carbon sugar, a nitrogenous base. This could be adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. In case of DNA and in RNA, we know that we have uracil instead of thymine. We will discuss this in upcoming lecture. So a nucleotide consists of a nitrogenous base, the pentose sugar, and the phosphate group. Types. There are two types of nucleic acid. DNA, which is a deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid. So DNA contains sugar deoxyribose. So here we have the pentose sugar as in the carbon number 1, 2. So it is a pentose sugar, so it means that this sugar contains 5 carbon. Carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So why it is called deoxyribonucleic acid is because at carbon number 2, we instead of OH, we have only H. So one oxygen is less here in pentose sugar. That's why it is called deoxyribose. While in case of ribonucleic acid, at carbon number 2, we have OH. Got it? So in DNA, we have only H at carbon number 2, and in RNA, we have OH at carbon number 2. That's why as this DNA contains one less oxygen, that's why it is called deoxyribose. So it is a double-stranded molecule like this, just like a ladder. While RNA is a single-stranded molecule. It could be this in case of transfer RNA or this in case of messenger RNA. DNA is responsible for storing and transferring genetic information, while RNA act as a messenger between DNA and ribosomes to make protein. DNA uses bases adenine, thymine, cytosine and guanine in their structure, while RNA uses adenine, uracil, cytosine and guanine. So here you can see that in DNA we have thymine, while in RNA we have uracil. So let's discuss DNA. DNA is the genetic material of most living organisms. It carries hereditary information from one generation to the next and provides instruction for the synthesis of protein. So we can say that DNA is a molecule that contains genetic information for the development, functioning, growth and reproduction of all living organisms. Most DNA is found in the cell nucleus known as nuclear DNA. So this is the nucleus. This is the cell and this is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus we have chromosomes, and in the chromosomes we have DNA. Okay, so DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid also found in the mitochondria. So a small amount of DNA is also located in the mitochondria called mitochondrial DNA. So what is chromosome? Chromosomes are tightly coiled structures and a thread-like structure made of tightly packed DNA. So here you can see that these DNA, they are tightly packed in the form of a thread-like structure, and it gives a X or Y-shaped appearance. Humans have 46 chromosomes, which is 23 pairs, one set from the mother and one from the father. So it means that half of the sets come from the father and half set of chromosomes comes from the mother. Okay. So what are genes? Genes are segments of DNA found on chromosomes. So for example, if this is the chromosome, okay, if you open up this chromosome, you find out these DNA strands coiled together. When you open up the DNA, so you can find a gene. So what is gene? A gene is that part of DNA that can be transcribed into messenger RNA, and this messenger RNA is translated into protein. This process is known as gene expression. We will discuss gene expression in detail, but as of now, you have to know that what are genes. So genes are the pieces of heredity material that are passed from parents to the offspring. So we have thousands and hundreds of DNA in our body. Okay, so not all the DNA is transferred to the offspring or the children. Okay, only few part of this gene transferred or translated into protein. So that part of DNA is called gene, which contain the information. They contain instructions to make proteins that determine traits. Okay, human contain about 20,000 to 25,000 genes. The gene of your hair color, the gene of your eye color, how you look, your nose, everything contains in the form of a gene in your DNA. Okay, so we have a chromosome. Okay, so first of all, we have a cell. Inside the cell, we have a nucleus. In the nucleus, we have the chromosome. When we open up the chromosome, inside this chromosome, we get our DNA. And in DNA, we have a gene. Okay, for example, the gene could be of your eye color. For example, A, T, C, G. T, A, G, C. So this could be the color of your, the gene of your eye color. Okay, so now we will discuss the DNA structure. So DNA is a collection of nucleotides makes a DNA molecule. Each nucleotide contains 3 components: a sugar, phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. So here we have a pentose sugar. This is the carbon number 1, carbon number 2, carbon number 3, carbon number 4, and carbon number 5. This is the phosphate group, and this is the nitrogenous base, which could be adenine, guanine, cytosine, or thymine in case of DNA. So this is the general structure of DNA nucleotide. So what is DNA base pairing? So we have 2 types of bases in DNA or in general: pyrimidines or purines. So in pyrimidines, we have thymine and cytosine, while in purines, we have adenine and guanine. So this is the structure of pyrimidine and purine. Basically, purines are two ring structure, while pyrimidines, they have one ring structure. Okay, so you have to remember that adenine always makes two double bond with thymine, and cytosine or guanine always makes three double bond with the cytosine. If we go back, so we discussed that there are four nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine. So how these base pair with each other? Adenine makes two hydrogen bonds with thymine, while guanine makes three hydrogen bonds with the cytosine. So here you can see that this is thymine and this is adenine. So this is the thymine and this is the adenine. So thymine and adenine make two hydrogen bonds. So this is how they makes the hydrogen bonds. While this is a cytosine and guanine, they makes three hydrogen bonds with each other. Formation of phosphodiester bond. So as I told you that DNA is a ladder-like structure. So it means that they bond with one another. For example, the hydrogen bonds between this base pair occurs from adenine of one strand to the thymine of another strand, or cytosine of one DNA strand to the guanine of another strand. Okay, so now what is phosphodiester bond? A phosphodiester bond is formed between two nucleotides to form sugar phosphide backbone of DNA.